Tell us about what we're going to be seeing happening in the next few days with the Bank of Kigali's IPO. So far, what's the level of interest you can gauge?
Okay, the IPO is tranched into two, the international and the domestic investors. The international investors will be invited to bid through what we call the book building. That will be the one that will discover the actual value at which the local investors will be invited to buy the shares. Now, the book building for the international investors ends today. So by tomorrow, we should be able to know at what price the local investors will be participating at.
Tell
now,
us.
From the,
okay, go ahead.
sorry.
Finish your sentence.
Now, what will happen is that for the domestic investors, the offer will begin on 30th of June and end on 29th of July.
Right. All right, so we're talking about 45% shareholding, effectively the state ceding about 25%, and then you're creating an additional 20%. For those international investors, how can they give a valuation to the Bank of Kigali?
The book building exercise was first of all to get the range of the bank's value. They have given a range of values, and which now the international investors bid for the shares. Now, once they bid to finish off the number of shares allotted to or allocated to the international investors, that will be like the equilibrium price at which the fixed price will be determined.
I think, yes, we understood that initially, Mr. Naibo. I think what people just want to know, those who are not involved in the process but could be one day, particularly the locals, people want a sense of what is the Bank of Kigali offering? What's the value of the Bank of Kigali, for instance? I know that you have market share in Rwanda, somewhere in the region of 26 to 32%, but what else?
Now, Bank of Kigali, being the dominant bank, the intrinsic value of the shares is quite attractive. In fact, most of the local investors are asking when we'll go to the market, but the process had to wait for the price discovery, which is being done through the book building. I don't know whether I've answered your question correctly.
I think slightly, but we'll move on. The distinction between international and locals, there is a call that all members of the East African community who qualify to participate should be regarded as locals. Why is that?
Within the East African community, we've got the East African stock exchange market, and we've got a protocol where it is recognized that all the East African citizens do participate as domestic investors. So all of us, whether Rwandan, Kenyan, Ugandan, or Tanzanian, will participate in the same pool as domestic investors.
The lessons you've learned from the Bralirwa IPO and how that will enhance this particular process, because effectively this is the second IPO for Rwanda.
I think the Bralirwa IPO was an eye-opener for the local investors, especially within Rwanda. They have seen the share subscription at 36, currently trading at a high of 250. Now it's within the 220 level. So people have seen the value creation by through the participation of the within the capital market. So what that has done is to create more awareness for the Bank of Kigali share. So everybody now is actually waiting for the listing.
I think a lot of people are concerned, though, that Rwanda and the Rwanda Stock Exchange, which is now a stock exchange after being an OTC market, is not very liquid, and that in terms of getting the payouts on their subscriptions, the process shouldn't be too cumbersome and long. What assurances can you give?
In fact, we've made it very, very easy for all the investors, especially the international investors. They will pay up at, after the allotment. In the normal processes, what normally happens is that you are required to pay up when you bid, but or put up a guarantee. What we have done is to come up with a policy that you don't have to pay or get a guarantee until you are allotted the shares. So it is actually very easy. We have made it very easy for everybody. After the allotment, for the payment will be required after the allotment.
All right.
In terms of the liquidity in the market, yes, because it is a young market, you would expect that going forward, it's not going to be as liquid as the Johannesburg market or the Nairobi Stock Exchange. But this is we are still taking the baby steps. We'll get there.
Okay, post the IPO, what plans does the Bank of Kigali have in terms of growth, expansion, so that you're giving value to these new investors?
Actually, going forward, our strategic view is, and that is why we are trying to get money from the listing, is to grow our business in terms of branch expansion, electronic channel development, and also give more loans to the customers. In terms of the growth prospects, we expect that our balance sheet will grow 2011 by 30%. We expect also the return on assets at 3.5%. Return on equity will go down briefly as we deploy the funds that we are going to get, but we will recover and at 20% going forward.